and good evening, Mrs. Williams and classmates. In this part of the presentation, I'm going to be briefly discussing the basic techniques in the labor cost analysis. We're going to be looking at sales per labor cost, cover per labor cost per hour, and labor cost per cover. So first off, sales per labor hour. What is sales per labor hour? I think the thing that I like about each term is that it pretty much says what it's about and defines itself, which makes it self-explanatory. Some operations determine the number of employees to be scheduled based on the sales per labor hour. It is calculated by dividing the number of hours worked or scheduled. A brief example of this would be, let's say you owned or managed a particular outlet that it was standard for you to pay your employees $10 an hour. And within that specific frame of time, you generated $100 in sales. You would first take the sales that you generated, which would be $100. You divide that by what is your standard hourly pay, which is $10, and that would determine that you're able to pay 10 persons for that period of time. This calculation, though, is only useful over variable cost employees, or those employees who are added to your schedule over a fixed cost employee, and that's determined by the volume of business that you would experience. Second would be the cover per labor hour. The cover per labor hour came about because the sales per labor cost wasn't as effective or efficient as it should have been in relation to the labor cost analysis. So because of that, a more efficient and a more effective technique needed to be used, and so they came up with the cover per labor hour. In the cover per labor hour, your scheduling isn't determined based on the sales. It is more so determined based on the covers that you're able to get in and out within a specific window of time. It is calculated by dividing the number of customers served by the number of hours worked or scheduled, and the number of hours will be different in each category. I think an example that paints a better portrait of understanding for me would be when I think about the drive-through window at a McDonald's during a breakfast period. When you think about a breakfast period at McDonald's drive-through, it could be extremely busy. Now, that busyness isn't to say that they're making a lot of money during that period, because for one, the menu items aren't expensive at all. And that would be one factor that would make it pretty evident that the crowd isn't just dictating a lot of money. And so, as a manager, you would have to think, okay, we're serving a lot of people, so my scheduling for this period needs to be based not on the money that we're generating, because we ain't making much money during this period, but my scheduling now needs to be determined based on the number of persons that we're serving during this period. Thirdly would be the labor cost per labor hour. This is calculated by dividing the totally hourly payroll of a manager, of employees, excluding manager, by the hours worked or scheduled. And my favorite, which is the labor cost per cover. I felt like when I open up a restaurant, this is going to be the one that I use, mainly because I feel like it encourages the employees to be a bit more aggressive in terms of the covers, because the covers determine the pay. Labor costs are determined by the number of covers divided the totally hourly payroll by the customers served. It reminds me of the restaurant that I work at, which is Olives at Atlantis. As a server, you'd be more encouraged to flip your tables a little bit faster, because that determines how much or less you make. And in conclusion, I want to share that I had the amazing opportunity to receive some training at the best restaurant in Atlanta, which is Bones. And the labor cost technique that works best for them is the labor cost per labor hour. Thank you.